Hey folks, and welcome back to Writer's Bone. Sitting at my kitchen table, nursing a coffee, talking to my dad about music. What's going on, Pop?
How you doing?
There we go. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Where did you get your love of music?
A couple different places. I learned how to play the cornet when I was 10 years old, and that kind of got me interested. The two songs I remember, the first two songs I've heard on the radio that really struck me, I was in the 6th grade. I was 11 years old, and it was The Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Nice.
And that was a big hit back then, and this was like 1962, I guess. There was this instrumental called Telstar, and I thought that was fantastic.
That one I've never heard of before.
I can't remember who actually did Telstar, but it was an instrumental, and it was like a spacey type thing, and everybody was listening to it. I remember in my 6th grade class, we'd listen to it and stuff, and then as we got into the junior high years, 7th and 8th grade, then we started going to dances. I remember when in the 7th and 8th grade, the Zombies were fairly popular back then. The English, British invasion was the Beatles. I remember watching them on Ed Sullivan, talking to my 7th grade history teacher about it. And, you know, how the girls were screaming and all that. And I had, most of the friends I hung around, we went to the dances. We used to hang around the Y a lot, and the jukebox was always going. I remember Beatles in there constantly, and they had dances there. The Y was a big hangout back then, and that kind of got us going, all of us going. And I was always around friends that were into it. I had a friend that lived on the street, Tom Vanelli, who was a fanatic about the Beatles, just loved the Beatles. And he ended up teaming up with another friend of ours, and they were 3 friends of mine, actually. And then they ended up forming a band, a local band. And this was like, probably they were freshmen in high school, but they were, they were good. And they split up into 2 different bands, and hooked up with some guys from New Britain. And, we were all really into music, but found these guys around and hanging around them. They were into it, and they were good. And that's really got me started. Then in the mid-'60s, The Rascals was my first diehard favorite end of the earth band. I loved them. And they were actually, I believe it was 1968, they came to the Bushnell. And we got tickets, and my friends, 2 of my friends that played in a band played for a band called The Collectors, and they did 99% of their songs were Rascals songs, but they were, back then they looked for opening acts, they auditioned for them, and they auditioned, and they actually got it. They were the first, there was 2 opening acts before the Rascals, and they were the first, and they had to learn a bunch of new songs just so they didn't do Rascal songs. I'll never forget that.
That's funny. Did you go to the show? Were you at the,
were you
at the concert?
I was at the concert. Yeah, it was
nice.
My first concert.
That was it. That was first one.
Concert. Yeah.
Wow.
Young Rascals back then, and it was just we were just my buddies and I were just in awe, and and then very proud to see our friend play first.
Yeah.
And kind of nervous for him, but actually, his name is Peter Cattusi, and he actually keeps in touch with Felix Cavalier once in a while. So
really,
I don't know if he still does, but this was a while back. But because Peter stayed in music, he's a bass player, and he toured with different people. Nobody super famous, but Leslie Gore was one of them, in an oldies thing, but. So he lived near New York City. He lived in Weston, Connecticut, right down the road from Keith Richards, actually.
Really?
Yeah. He used to pop in some cassettes, demos.
Really?
In his mailbox.
Wow.
So, anyways, he was in New York a lot for and playing and stuff like that. That's what he did. That was his, and he was happy as a lark.
I bet. So what was the first album you bought? Do you remember? Or your first round of albums?
I want to say it was The Rascals. It was The Rascals' first album. It's a long time ago. I had switched from the cornet to the saxophone, and my 7th grade and 8th grade music teacher taught me the saxophone. He was a great tenor sax player. He played it in the area.
Right.
His name was George Ventrilli. His daughter was actually in our class, high school class, class of 69. And we were, and he was just fantastic. And he got me interested in a lot of different things, but he was just tremendous. I liked switching from the cornet to saxophone. I wasn't a good, I didn't.
I can't say our family's musically inclined, even though we love it so much. Not so much.
But I had a wide, I just kept listening to different things. They were my favorite. The Righteous Brothers were my favorite, too, and all different, and then when Buffalo Springfield came on, I fell in love with Neil Young and all those guys, and I still love Neil Young to this day. As you know, we've gone to concerts.
Absolutely. I remember right before you had knee surgery one time, we popped you in the car and carried you into the concert, and I don't think I've ever seen you happier. Couldn't move, but you didn't care.
Neil is a man. He is a man.
Is that the first record you remember wearing out? His Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere?
When I was in college, that was my freshman year in college. I wore him out. My friend Paul Zukas, he wore out. We used to go over his house as freshmen in high school. We used to go over there every day and listen to Jimi Hendrix's Our Experience album, and that was every day after school. And Paul would play guitar. Is
he any good? Was he a good guitar player?
He never was in a band or anything like that. Like my other friends were, but it was fun. We actually sang at a talent show. Paul played a guitar and I sang, believe it or not.
You sang?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've never heard this story.
It was a Mom and a Papa song.
Oh my God, which one?
All the Leaves Are Brown.
The California Dreamin'?
Yeah, California.
Wow.
And it was
I'll never hear that song the same way again.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I'm sure those people didn't either.
That was. But anyways, we just all love music, and it was a great time to be a kid, and if you're interested in music, because there's just the Beatles, the Rascals, everybody. But, a lot of the English stuff I loved. I liked the Kinks. There was just so many different bands back then. Vanilla Fudge came out and did a Diane and Ross song, Keep Me Hanging On, a rock version.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever heard that.
Yeah.
But that was just...
That's cool.
I had that album.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was just... they just kind of... That was fun, And then in college, it just kept blossoming. Probably one of the best concerts I ever saw was the first tour of Carole King and James Taylor.
Yeah.
That was in Hartford, in the Bushnell. And that was...
Was that after they'd done the Troubadour, right around the same time? Was that that tour?
Right. It was. She was doing her Tapestry stuff, so I'm not sure.
One of the greatest albums of all time.
Oh yeah,
easily.
And I hate, as good as James Taylor's was, I thought she actually stole the show from him a little bit. She was that good.
Yeah, she just did the same thing when they just reunited. He's James Taylor. He's always good, but it's something about her that you just can't. You can't take your.
Somehow
your eyes
or
off
other,
her.
we got good seats. My first wife, Judy, and we weren't married then, but they were real good seats. They were just a few rows in back center.
Right.
I don't know how we got those. But,
speaking of her, tell me about the Jethro Tull concert. That it was.
Well,
I make the joke that we were one Jethro Tull concert away from not existing at all.
Well, very possibly, especially Tommy.
Especially Tommy.
Tommy is Judy's son with me before she got sick and passed away. But it was Columbus Day weekend, my senior year. It was 1972. We were just starting our senior year, and I had a roommate from Dayton, Terry. His friend out there, Jethro Tull was doing his Aqualung tour. His friend out there, out in Dayton, got tickets. Got tickets for all four of us. It was four of us, roommates. And so we were going to drive out to Dayton, go, spend the weekend, see the concert, And this was the Aqualung. This was hot stuff back then.
Yeah.
And Jethro Tull was it was about 8 years into their existence, and they were really a tight, what they call a tight band. They know what they were doing. So I decided to go, and I was engaged to Judy at that time, and so I called her up and told her, that was, it was a long weekend, and she was kind of counting on me coming home to spend some time with her. And
see ya!
She was...
Do not come back.
She was not happy. So I always tell Tommy, my oldest son, Daniel's brother, there's a possibility, if she stayed as mad as she was, that I went to Dayton to go with my roommates to see Jethro Tull, we may have never gotten married if she stayed that mad. Great
but it was
concert.
worth it, right? I mean, they were...
Great concert.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Aqualung. It was just, you had to be there. I mean, it was just the crowd, the crowd was starting to try to get on stage. They were just, he was just, Ian Anderson was just driving people crazy.
Nice.
He was so good. And the band was so good, so tight. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Who were some other people you saw at school?
Saw Johnny Winter. He was good. He was great. Saw James Cotton, James Montgomery. They were both good. They used to come and do like a spring thing, and they do it out in some like the soccer field or something. And we had a good time. Just, it was like almost like a little rock festival type thing. And
nice.
James Gang, Joe Walsh.
That's cool.
Poco with Richie Furay and Tim Schmidt.
Underrated.
Was there, and they
totally
were,
underrated band.
And I really liked them. And that was a great concert. Our freshman year in college, I met up with one of my friends went to BC, and Sly and the Family Stone was playing. And
wow.
I liked a lot of soul music because I played the saxophone.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And I did.
That's where I get it from.
I actually was in a little soul band in high school, and we did
really?
Yeah, we did some dances and stuff like that. Local stuff with the Kimball brothers and Sam and Jeff. And Jeff isn't with us anymore, but their dad Sam was pretty popular in Connecticut. They were like a ballroom type dance,
right?
Not ballroom, but and they were very good. And we had fun. We weren't great, but we had fun doing that.
That sounds fun.
Like that, but,
that's neat.
Walk On By was their signature song.
There you go.
They had a girl singer do it and everything. Rena Raymond.
Wow.
And,
I've never heard this story before. Never.
It was fun. It was just a lot of fun. People can, we used to do a lot of the freshman dances and stuff when we were seniors, and it was fun.
So explain to me why you didn't go see Bruce Springsteen or Buddy Rich while they were at your campus.
Well, financial.
By the way, ticket price, and I'll post a picture with $3.
Yeah, $3
for Springsteen. B.B. King, Dave Brubeck, all in the same.
I saw Dave Brubeck.
Earth, Wind, and Fire in the same concert. $3.
I did not see Earth, Wind, and Fire. I did see Dave Brubeck. He was very good. And of course, we're talking a long time ago, but he was good. Johnny Winter was unbelievable. But who else did I see back then? But Sly was a fun story. We took the T and we left from home. There was just massive amounts of humans going to this concert, just people all over the place. And
nice.
In the train, and we get there, and Sly's about an hour and a half late for the concert. So. They did have an opening act, but they hadn't long done. And everybody's starting to get restless and stuff like that. But when he finally got there and he performed, the band was just incredible. It was just, he was Sly, and he was very talented. And I liked all that. I liked a lot of the soul stuff. I had such a mix. Righteous Brothers, Neil.
No, you saw Chicago, when they got big, and you saw, what was it? It was free, right? It was a free concert?
No. They were,
you had to pay tickets?
But it was at a high school, which we live 2 blocks away
down the street from where it's sitting right now, yeah.
In Bristol.
That's crazy.
St. Paul's High School, and it was right after their first album. Their second album came out, it was right around that time. But it was right around there, and they were just big, and they just put on a great concert, and it was just great. Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Oh, yeah, that's another good one.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I saw him when David Clayton Thomas was with him. I would have liked to see Al Cooper, from their first album.
Yeah.
Al Cooper, but he had gone. Damn, he was only with them a year. But see, again, with playing the sax and things like that, I always liked the bands with horns too.
Right. So, growing up in that era, there's a certain amount of music that you and that you got to listen to. And we kid you, and we say that the last album you bought, before you had Tommy and you had a family, and then you had the rest of us, was the Moody Blues.
Yeah, I love the Moody Blues. Yeah. Never got to see them. I would have.
They would have been cool live. We
have the DVDs that we have of them, and their PBS concerts were excellent. They were revolutionary because they had the London Symphony Orchestra playing with them, and they it was good. It wasn't like they were into it. The band was into it. It wasn't
exactly.
Yeah.
So my question is, from then to now, I mean, you kind of see you started out listening to records, vinyl. I don't know if you had an 8-track tape player or you went right to the cassettes.
I kind of almost right to the cassettes.
Okay. Oh, thank God.
8-tracks were in cars a lot, not so much at home.
Right.
I kept listening to what I liked. I haven't given Richie Havens just...
oh, yeah? Here's another good one, yeah?
Favorite of mine. My sister, Kathy, had gotten the Mixed Bag album.
Classic. Absolute classic.
Absolutely tremendous. And I got a chance to see him in New Britain at Central Connecticut, and he had everybody rocking. I mean,
and you don't think of Richie Havens as like blowing the doors up the place, but
when he gets going, like if you saw the documentary Woodstock when he's doing Freedom and stuff, he did songs like that, and the place was just crazy.
Right.
I loved him too. I still have his cassettes in my car and his CDs in my car.
So do you think like my generation is missing something, or like you hear enough popular music to know, or like the digital music sound? I mean, all the guys that we love, they're still pumping out music, which is crazy in the surface of it.
And I know like all my three boys like what and obviously you and Pat with Dylan and. Past 26, he's seen what Dylan like 22.
Something crazy like that, yeah.
And I took him to my share of those. I wasn't a huge Dylan fan back then, but as when Patrick started liking him, and I went with him, and he always has a great band with him.
They're tremendous.
And he's a god. He's
it's like seeing history. Like you said when you saw that Willie Nelson show. It's the same thing.
It was in New Haven at the ball field in New Haven when they did that minor league ballpark tour. Willie opened, and that was fun. Willie was excellent. I think that these guys are still around and playing a lot, and that guys like your age now are like them still, and they know. They learned from us, but so there's a good mix. I like some of the new stuff. I don't recognize the people that actually do it.
Right. Well, Sheryl Crow is one I think that you.
Yeah, I like Sheryl Crow.
Bruno Mars. I tell you what, every time he comes on the radio, you're like, this guy. Yeah. This guy has it.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a throwback. He's got that kind of bigger band sound.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So there is guys. Pretty much still follow the basics. Neil, Richie Havens. Righteous Brothers. I got a chance to, when you guys bought us those tickets for, those are great seats. It was the year before Bobby Highfield died. And we were like 6 rows back center.
All right, so my last question is, if you had one album, if you were forced to listen to one album from now until the end of time, which one would it be?
Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere.
Wow. I had a feeling you were going to say that. I'm glad you did. So I think that would be mine.
There's others that would be right behind it, but I just wore that out when I was in college, my first year in college, and I still get excited when I hear that song.
Yeah,
it just
you can just tell when it's on, and just the guitar, the licks, the lyrics, the whole thing,
and
band behind them,
the river, and Cowgirl in the Sand, and
there's only like 8 songs on the 7 or 8 songs on the album, and there's not a bad song. Yeah, not a bad song.
Play long. But no, there isn't. And, I would say that. No.
All right, Pop. Well, appreciate you stopping by.
No problem.
You're gonna have to come back now. That get the first one under our belt.
I didn't bore everybody.
No, tens of people are thrilled right now.
Well, I hope I kept everybody interested.
All right, Pop.
Okay.